What is happening, Cryptosomniacs? How is everybody doing? It is Monday, December 10th, and I am Jason here with James, and we today and gonna just go over market conditions. Snay might be joining us here in the near future, but he got tied up in a meeting and may not be able to make it. So hopefully Snay will be joining. But we're gonna go over market updates and just see what the overall market sentiment looks like right here on Cryptosomniacs. Stay tuned. All right, what's happening? What is happening? So it looks like we've already got Jaw Lofton, Ryan Jack, and Banger Committee in the chat. What's happening, guys? Thanks for joining. And so I finally have a full-size window. Yes, I could even be super fancy and double up so that there could be two of me, but we don't need to do that. Anyways, guys, how's everybody doing today? How you guys doing? What's Bitcoin look like tomorrow in Aus, James?
No comment.
Oh, man. Well, yes, we have another day of Bitcoin going the direction that we thought it would, and another day of I told you so not feeling as good as it should, right? I mean, ultimately, we've thought that the market was going to continue in this direction, and unfortunately, what the charts have told us has proven out right. Hooray for our charting abilities, and boo for the market. So, yeah, I don't know. What you guys doing any trading in the last week or two, or is everybody kind of just biding their time on the sidelines?
Yeah, no major trades, just a little bit here and there with Bitcoin, and some of the alts are still making moves. So, I like to look at mainnets and certain releases. So if Bitcoin's stable or it's at least not going down, the altcoins have a chance of making some moves.
Yeah. Same for me. Same thing. Not too much trading. Just kind of seeing what Big Daddy Bitcoin is going to be doing. But I do have some orders down lower. Do plan to a dollar cost average my Bitcoin as well as my Ethereum as well. So definitely have the orders in there.
Yep, I've definitely got orders in the books over on Coinbase Pro. Excuse me, propping up the Bitcoin price right now. Mine are considerably order lower block. I got caught out on the last time we had traded sideways at 6K for so long. I thought it was gonna keep doing that, and I was gonna get one more little bounce play right as it plunged through 6K all the way down to its current level. So I'm bag holding a little bit and hoping for a pump, but in the meantime, I guess I'll just consider it a dollar cost average.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the right strategy, right? I mean, you never try to time the bottom and never try to time the top as well. If you're in it for an investment mindset, I mean, you definitely, you don't want to buy it all at once, right? I think it just goes with everything, but especially with Bitcoin being such a speculative asset, you don't really know where the price is going to be, where things are going to move. We do see things on the chart. It gives us a probability of where we're likely to see things happen, but I mean, nobody knows for certain what is exactly going to happen, right? So I think that like the smartest thing, not financial advice obviously, but just something that I'm doing personally is buying a little bit here, a little bit there, have certain levels. If it goes down, then I'll buy more. I have some more fiat reserved for that, and I think I feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I think that's the smart move. I mean, dollar cost averaging. If you believe in the asset long term, it's a way to absorb some of those hits you take when you are buying a little bit higher than market value. So never a bad strategy if you believe in the asset long term. Obviously, not necessarily recommended to dollar cost average into something if you're not a believer in it for the long term, because that could just end up, if the value of something continues to go down as your dollar cost averaging in and never goes back up, that could backfire on you, obviously.
True.
But I think at this level, I think honestly anywhere between the initial breakout from last year and this level are probably reasonable levels to begin to scale back into this market, I would say. So we got Banger Committee and Ryan Jack both say, Banger Committee says, I'm remaining in my stable coin until further notice. Ryan Jack says, I'm waiting for another drop, so that means bull run probably begins soon. Yeah, right. That's we were just having that conversation right before we went on, that I 86 the majority of the assets that I have on Coinbase that aren't Bitcoin, and that probably means that we're about due for a bull run, because that's
well, you know what, I think it sucks, because when we look at the way the market's been reacting, we all kind of wanted the volatility. Yeah. We expect, for some reason, we expect things to move overnight, up or down, right? Get it over with, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go back to the bull run. And if you look at the majority of investments and even speculative assets, even like you look at the MJ space, right?
Yeah.
It's going up and down fairly quickly, but I think that we all expect, we have this false expectation that something's going to happen overnight, and we're going to automatically kind of change the trend. We're going to go on a bull run. I think we've got a long way to go. I think there's still opportunities to make money for people that are trading, but Absolutely. If you don't have experience trading and are not comfortable with that and can't sit in front of a computer, probably wouldn't recommend pretending to be a day trader. It didn't work out very well for me in stock market, part-time day trading. So I think just part-time day trading can be quite difficult.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially just, if you aren't, I will say the one thing about, I don't know about day trading, but I guess swing trading technically would be, if you're able to plan your trades and, set the buys, sells, stops, etc., and just walk away from the computer till the next day, maybe that can help with, the mentality of that's the one thing when you are an active day trader and sitting at your computer, it's easy to, kill the sell order at your predetermined take profit point, or vice versa. Basically, it's easy to get too greedy or to hold on too long when you're sitting at the computer, because you can always adjust it. So I guess the one nice thing about if you aren't a full-time trader is if you can stick to your plan and trade your plan, it's a little bit easier when you're not sitting at your computer with the ability to change the trade immediately.
I think it's hard to do that on crypto exchanges. Like the platforms that are out there, they don't provide the same amount of tools that you get on like a Fidelity or an E-Trade, where you're able to kind of set the take profit orders and set the stop loss orders. You have a lot more tools on those these other platforms. So I think that until like Coinbase and these other platforms that I know that like Bitfinex and I know that BitMEX has different tools than some of these other platforms, but not everybody can trade futures. Not everybody can trade on those platforms.
Right.
So I think that I think that we're still, it's hard to kind of walk away because you can't set a take profit order and a stop loss at the same time on Coinbase Pro, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I've actually gotten hit on that specifically in that instance. And my workaround for it is only make a buy and a sell for something that you already can cover with your wallet, basically. And so then you can set your take profit point with a limit order, and then you could set a stop loss with, if you say, for instance, you were buying 2 ETH, if you had 4 ETH in the account, you could put 2 at where you wanted to sell, and then 2 more for your stop loss. But you got to have a lot more liquidity to be able to operate in that fashion on something like Coinbase. So it would be nice to be able to just program it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a number of bots that are trying to function that way, but I would just prefer, again, I don't want to have the less API access that you can have to get into my money, the better in my book. So, while I do think the bots are great, I wouldn't necessarily want to have bots that are attaching to all of my exchanges and trading on them for me. It just seems a little risky to me.
Yeah. Day trading is definitely a full-time job, that's for sure. If you're swing trading, you can have, either way, you can have a whole series of alerts set up. What happens with stop losses? They get hunted pretty well. They get washed out before a move goes either way.
Yep.
But it's definitely a full-time job. You've got to be watching everything.
Yeah.
Well, for a day trader, it's definitely a full-time job.
Yeah. How many monitors you got back there, James?
5 there, 4 over there, a few here.
Is it safe to say that you're a day trader?
Yeah.
I used to be. I'm not anymore. I'm too busy with blockchain. So that's the thing. So crypto doesn't really affect me. It's the blockchain where I have blockchain services business, and the blockchain is doing well. I consult with a lot of businesses and help with their blockchain implementation, and they're getting good business to business transaction. All these big institutions that are in crypto that have patents, like the Bank of America has the most patents, and there's several, any big company you can name, like Amazon, Apple, all the big financial institutions, they're all playing with blockchain. They don't care about the crypto. They don't want the crypto. They want it centralized and optimized to what their needs are. So all this is going on behind the scenes, and it's vibrant. Things are happening daily.
So the question is, why would they? I mean, ultimately, what's the point of having a blockchain if there's no token? Because why wouldn't you just use a centralized database at that point? At what benefits is it getting other than that it's indelible, right? I mean, you can't change it. What other benefits, or what other purpose is there to using a blockchain with no cryptocurrency? I mean, this is something I struggle with all the time while people talk about private blockchains and things. I mean, I can understand it strictly from a business point of view. Obviously, they want to be able to get onto the blockchain hype train, et cetera. But I don't understand why you would necessarily want to use this technology without a cryptocurrency, because generally the reason for the cryptocurrency is to incentivize the proper behavior on the network, right? Or at least the desired behavior on the network.
Yeah, like a consensus mechanism. But you can kind of have that internally, like with like FedEx tracking parcels or something like that. It's much simpler for them to use the blockchain. It's more efficient because everything runs into that one chain, and they can have full visibility of where all the packages are moving. And that helps on the consumer end because they can kind of see where everything is, in theory. And for financial transactions, an executive from Goldman Sachs earlier in the year said it will save him $6 billion a year in transaction fees just because of the efficiency. They don't need a crypto to make it run. They just use underlying technology. And you'd be looking at, Facebook, they might trend that way just because that's what the people want, and they got to stay ahead of the curve. People are pretty unhappy with their practices, so you'll see that transition. You saw Kodak launch a token that was,
but that was like that was clearly a money grab move. Obviously,
that's what I'm saying. That was
going out of business.
That was all of they just wanted that association with the blockchain to push the price up because they were failing. There's a whole bunch of different reasons, but a chain can be configured to certain needs of a company and just save money through transaction fees, and it's more efficient. You need less middlemen or people operating the traditional centralized ecosystem.
Yeah, I think you're right, James. You did talk about like FedEx, and you talked about some of that supply chain management and shipping logistics. You guys probably know about Walmart, right? So Walmart, I believe that they said in 2020 they're going to require all of their lettuce produce manufacturers and vendors who want to sell through Walmart to use blockchain technology. And that blockchain technology platform is being provided and powered by IBM, I believe. And so I don't think there's a token necessarily behind that, but the business application is definitely there, especially with all of the kind of like the romaine lettuce scares.
Sure.
I think there was a scare on red meat last week. But I mean, this is all stuff that we're kind of used to and kind of become jaded around it. But when it happens, it's just a recall, right? Don't eat romaine lettuce. Which one? Well, we're not going to eat any romaine lettuce.
Right. We'll take every single romaine lettuce off the market.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily seem like the most efficient way to deal with something, but it is probably, the safest, right? And you're already starting to see a lot of fruits, vegetables. They have these little QR, these scanning codes on them so that you can know a little bit more about where they came from. But those are provided for by the company. It's not necessarily provided, through a third party or a trusted party or something that's on the blockchain, obviously.
Right.
So I think that those applications with trust and the auditing the process and just with safety and just with the users in mind, I think that calls for a case blockchain, whether or not the cryptocurrency is there or not. I think the crypto part helps to decentralize it so that it's not one organization trying to implement the technology or a group trying to implement the technology, but it is, everybody's participating in it. So I think that's where you need that cryptocurrency to incentivize and reward people for the participation.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing that has started to kind of concern me a little bit about the blockchain space. Is it initially started as an alternative to fiat system, traditional existing financial systems, and it had this ethos of, oh, they're obviously not going to make it any easier for anybody but a certain sect of people. So I'm going to build this protocol that's going to let anybody build their own currency effectively. And we've seen it more and more turn into more derivative products coming out, more traditional finance people moving into the market and just trying to recreate these things. There's a lot of hype around exchange traded funds and things like that. The reason for the cryptocurrency is to incentivize, again, like you said, incentivizing decentralization. So if I guess again, I just don't see the reason that you would need to use a blockchain other than it's indelible, right? Once it's recorded. But then what about the problem of like bad actors in the company? So specifically, let's take the supply chain dynamic. Because somebody's still got to attach those sensors, right? I mean, those sensors have to get onto the product. Somebody's still got to do it. So there's still room for bad actors to happen. A blockchain doesn't just fix the problem in and of itself.
Yeah, but with those sensors, I understand that piece, right? There is, one single place that you can track that back to is, who put the sensor on, who was responsible for putting that sensor on.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think that everybody else along the way, can track it back to that. I'm not saying it's in a perfect world. I don't know all the factors, but just conceptually thinking, anybody who would manipulate it would be manipulating it from the origin. So
yeah, that actually does make a lot of sense.
I don't know.
You would at least have one single point to be able to go back to and say, hey, like everything else checks out on this, but the sensor is attached to a fake Louis Vuitton purse or whatever. You need to talk to you probably need to fire the company that you've contracted with to attach the sensors, I guess, at that point. Yeah, that does make sense. So let's see. What about? Let's talk about the Coinbase effect, right? So the Coinbase effect has been well known over the last year and change. Once it's rumored that a coin is going to get added to Coinbase, it pumps the price. So we've seen that happen. We saw it happen with Bitcoin Cash. We saw it happen with a few other tokens, Zero Exchange and Basic Attention Token, etc. But it seems like, much like the highs throughout 2018, the pump effect has kind of slowly been less and less. Coinbase is talking about adding 31 different new currencies, one of which is the long-rumored Ripple, and so far none of the currencies that they've mentioned have seen really any noticeable effect by the announcement. So do we think that the Coinbase effect is going to continue to have any sort of impact in the market, or does it continue to dissipate either as the market downtrend happens or just dissipate because the more tokens that they're adding, the less special it would be when a new one gets added?
I think the chart in the background kind of answers your question there. Yeah, so it's just people don't have confidence at the moment. It's going to be cyclical, so we're going to kind of wash out all the people that were in at the start of the year and that got burnt, and we're going to have a new cycle of people come in, and that's going to take time, and then they're going to come in. Coinbase is going to be the main place they go to overall generally, and they're going to see these cheap coins and all these other alts, and they're just going to start buying them up, and we're going to have another run. I don't see it like another what we had in December. Yeah, we could go higher than that eventually in years, but I don't see us just pushing up that quickly. But I think that's going to be there'll be some coins for some fundamental reasons. A lot of these coins are actually going to start making money, so they'll have actually real financial models and projections and real revenue and profits. So there'll be tangible valuations, and then those coins will pump accordingly based on that. Other than that, I think it's going to be cyclical in nature. And when a new wave of people come in, then they'll start buying these coins on Coinbase.
Yeah, I think I think the effect is it's still there, right? Obviously, when you announce something that I'm going to list 31 or potential to list 31, they didn't necessarily say they were going to do it or not going to do it.
True.
They kind of put it out there as a teaser, And they've done that before. I mean, those coins were also on a list that they had listed very similar coins as those in July when they announced
the 6 of them have been enjoying price pumps as a result.
So and it did, right? And I think that but if you look at things like BitHum and some of these other exchanges, when some of these smaller caps get listed on there, one very, very prime example is Link, right? So I mean, I like Link. I think it's a cool project, but obviously, once it got listed on BitHum, the price skyrocketed, right? And even the run up and the anticipation of it getting listed there, it happened. But if we were going to say that, hey, these 31 coins are going to list sometime on BitHum, I don't know if that's that doesn't have the same effect, right?
Right.
So obviously, probably exactly what James said. Everybody's kind of beaten down right now, and nobody is necessarily, people don't care as much. But
yeah, I mean, I'd say that's very obviously true, just based on Google search trends and. I mean, we can just see it being active in the space. Like there's, the conference attendance has died down. Your cab driver's not telling you to buy Bitcoin anymore. There's a lot of people have just, it's the hype cycle has certainly reached a lull compared to where it was this time last year.
And I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of pumps and volatility still. With the liquidity being so low and the market cap being so low on some of these, you will see a lot of people come in and try to push these up. Whether or not there's news, I know that there's some main nets that are coming up soon. So you probably will see some of these start to fly, but it's not necessarily going to start seeing all alts fly. But I think that I wouldn't discount the fact that we're going to see some of these take off just based on news again.
Yeah, and there's a lot of money being made. There's still massive volatility, but you got to be at it all the time, and only a small percentage of people are going to be successful doing it. It's just that kind of trading's not for everyone.
Sure.
So we've got some comments here just saying, so it happens to older projects like Golem and Augur getting replaced by newer projects. That's something I'm definitely concerned with just in this space. I came out of the music specifically, like I was a DJ for a long time, and with this one specific genre of music, drum and bass, if you guys know what that is. During the time when I was involved in that, there was this thing where basically it was always you're playing tunes from 2 weeks ago. That tune came out a week ago, 2 weeks ago. That's old. We don't want to hear it anymore. And I feel like I see a lot of parallels in the crypto space of like people are like, oh no, like enough people are like, oh no, Monero doesn't have any privacy. Now we're on to ZK Snarks. I'm like, did you really look into the tech though? Because there's a bunch of people with ZK Snarks and there's only ring signatures in a few places. I don't know. It's just, I feel like people are very likely to get caught up in the hype cycle as new projects get launched, because new projects are pumping money behind their marketing, and the whole crypto sphere starts buzzing about it. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked about Bezant lately. I have nothing to say about that project either way. I've literally not bothered to even look into it, but just enough people were asking me about it. I was like, oh, this is clearly who's going out doing their marketing push right now. And I think that's very common in this space, is that somebody goes out and does their marketing push, and people forget about the projects that they thought had solid fundamentals that they were already interested in, that might already be further along in the development team, for the shiny new, oh, but I could 100x on this, maybe.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think, go ahead, James.
Yeah, well, it's all about the shiny projects. People forget about the old ones. The problem is some of the old ones, either they didn't have good capital management and they held ETH and they don't have the funding to keep doing their marketing and other things. Some of them have enough left for the tech development and they're kind of stringing along. Some of them sold up quite early, and I have heard of ones actually just selling straight into fiat when the investment was received, which I was always recommending they do.
Yep.
So they're fairly well funded, but they're not throwing money at marketing and market making and all these other things that are expensive. They're just letting the market play out, and they are focusing on tech development, and they're way further along than these new projects, so they'll have their time. If they start making money, well, they'll start becoming more noticed. But it's just these new ones coming out, and it's like, oh, the the best thing. They're going to replace these older ones, but doesn't mean anything. Most of them are actually not going to. Yeah, there will be more sophisticated ones come out and will take market share, but we're still really early.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to discount a lot of these older projects and say, hey, we haven't heard much from them and they haven't done a lot. But, just because they're not pushing their marketing, to your point, doesn't necessarily mean they're not doing things, behind closed doors. They're acting like a real business, right? And I think, most of these companies, we don't know what they're really doing. They can tell us a bunch of things if they want. We really don't know. And I think that like a lot of people always say, hey, you know what, you should focus on the tech. Definitely focus on the tech. It's not about the coin's price. But, it's not always about the tech either, because you start looking at all of the projects that are coming out. They all look very similar. They all do very similar things.
Yep.
Focusing on security, focusing on privacy, focusing on transaction speed. But all of these things, I feel personally that they're table stakes to, if you want to play in the crypto game, this is kind of the characteristics of what a crypto company is. This just needs to be part of your core offering, that you're able to do certain things. And if you're not able to do it, you better acquire those things as attributes. I think that the projects that might do well are the ones that focus on niche spaces that serve a need versus focus on technology and focus on kind of how fast their product is. But to actually show an actual use case, I think those are the ones that are the most interesting to me.
I agree with that. I mean, we harp on that and adoption all the time. I mean, I want to see something that actually has a purpose in the market, besides turning crypto into another crypto, and besides, besides using it to gamble. Besides, I want to see actual use cases.
Yeah, not everyone has Justin Sun as a front man.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That's a lot of people. A lot of people slam him. So let's talk about that a little bit. Tron's definitely been making some moves this year. Obviously the Pump Master has been out on Twitter and making a lot of noise about your failing ETH platform and your failing EOS platform. DApp developers who are working on those, we love you over at Tron. Come bring your projects over here. They had the BitTorrent acquisition. They had, for better or for worse, the Pornhub partnership. And, Justin Sun is Jack Ma's protege. He clearly has a pretty savvy handle on marketing. So the question is Tron going to be a serious competitor, or do we take them seriously? I initially thought Tron was a little bit like back in the day. I've ridden the Tron train several times and enjoyed the market on that several times. But I always was like, I don't know if I can take Justin Sun too seriously. But honestly, the longer I'm in the space and the more I see him around and the more I see the way other projects stumble, and then I actually compare what he does to, not non-crypto marketing, I think Justin Sun's pretty savvy, and I think Tron definitely could be a competitor. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I always thought he was doing the right thing in terms of marketing and just getting out there, and he's been a good promoter, and I think it's good for the space. It was just kind of one of a kind, and people would just, say things about him, but we need more people like that, really.
Adam Woman says, Tron is a joke, no communication on GitHub, and no successful development going on. I don't know about that. I haven't checked I'm not going to try to refute their whether or not their GitHub has any development on there. I haven't looked at that in a while, but I would beg to differ with no successful development going on. They are literally a copy paste of ETH. Well, the good thing is here's what I see: there's a number of different protocols out on the market, right? There's a number of different ways you can have a vending machine for securities, as Mr. Miko Matsumura likes to put it. I don't know. Ultimately, what it comes down to is Ethereum has shown scaling solutions. We haven't seen proof that Tron has these same scaling solutions yet. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. We haven't run into it yet. So it's Schrodinger's cat as far as I'm concerned.
And we're neutral on the situation. I see a comment in the chat, but we're completely neutral. We're just talking about Justin Sun as being a promoter for crypto and, well, for Tron, but in crypto in general. And I think we'll start seeing that trend when big institutions come in. If we see Facebooks and things like that, they'll have massive marketing power and they'll be doing certain campaigns like that. So he's kind of leading the way in that sense. I'm not for or against Tron. I'm just neutral. I don't know how it's going to play out.
I think they've made some moves that that could potentially be advantageous for them. I think the BitTorrent acquisition was a big move, personally.
Yeah, well, there's potential, yeah.
I mean, especially considering if they're Tron trying to be, I mean, effectively, a lot of people slam them, but it's like a decentralized app store, effectively. And they are now targeting and focusing on a niche of gaming. Like, I'm not mad at it. Again, I'm not saying it's the be-all, end-all. I certainly not recommending anybody go out and buy a big bag of Tron right now. I'm just saying I take them a lot more seriously than I did this time last year.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I agree. I think they'll be around. I mean, he's definitely not letting off the gas. He's putting effort into it. His demeanor, the way he talks about his company and the way he tweets and everything like that. I mean, it's all hilarious to me. But I mean, that's his style, right? And it works for him.
Right. He's very reminiscent of the Tai Lopez's of the world, etc. As far as like, he's just, whether you love him or you hate him, the guy is effective. And we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think, like I said, with the acquisition of BitTorrent, and who knows, we'll see what Tron has for the near future. But it's definitely one that I will be keeping my eye on. And like I said, I may have a little bit of an emotional attachment to it because I've bought and sold it and made money on it several times in the past. So for whatever that's worth, Justin Sun being the pump master, I don't mind these. I don't mind this kind of movement.
And it goes back to that point that James had mentioned as well, is like, you guys like Justin Sun and Tron, that they're not crypto rich, like they've got money, they've got partners, they've got the backing to survive as a business. So I don't necessarily think they're going away, even if the price of Tron goes down significantly. I mean, he seems very committed to being a name in the space, and who knows how much money he's putting out there for it. But it's the same can't be said about a lot of other projects that are out there.
Right, exactly. I mean, I've started to really believe that the only reason that Ethereum ever hit 1,200 was exclusively because of the ICO craze. There's no reason that it should have been that much. I'm a big Ethereum fan. I've still got my long-term bags of Ethereum. I'm not flooding the project, but I've forgotten my point. Never mind.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Right.
Yeah, I'm neutral. I'm neutral on it too. I mean, I think that love him or hate him, he's part of crypto, and you can't love you can't love everybody in the space, right? You got to have a cast of characters, and he's definitely one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there. I think FZJ pretty much nailed it there. At least Tron is moving forward. Too early to tell if it will succeed. Well, I can tell you one use case for it. You can tip cam girls, apparently. I don't know, but it's Verge did it first, and Tron followed suit. But apparently, that is a use case for it. Whatever that's worth to you.
Well, I mean, that same can be said. Somebody had brought this up the other day. They said, "Oh, Kin is pumping," and I said, "Kin." I remember that.
Oh yeah, Kick
ICO, Kick Messenger,
yeah.
right? And I remember that, just internet marketing space and everything like that. People, before you could kind of DM and stuff like that on Instagram,
Yep.
You're like, "Oh, hit me up on Kick," right?
Yep.
So you get a bunch of random people. That's a use case, whether or not it's you like it or not. I mean, it is what it is. People are able to pay and tip on through Kick.
So I just have to reply one more to Adam Woolman here. This dude is on one saying that Tron doesn't have their own code. You do realize this space is open source, right? Just throwing that out there, man. Like, there's a lot of people that are using very similar codes. And in case you didn't know this, a serious portion of blockchain projects are written using Solidity, thus making a lot of these codes vaguely interchangeable, or at least the ability to possibly, the same language is being used to develop the smart contracts. So you might be surprised how much of the code on your favorite projects looks similar. That's all I have to say about that. All right, let's see what else. All right. So, in more great news about downside to BTC, I've heard a lot of talk lately about traders closing positions to realize a loss to help them save on taxes for the end of the year. Do you guys anticipate we're going to see a further sell-off as traders are trying to realize some losses? Even though it is, I mean, I know you can't realize a huge amount of losses for tax write-offs, but I would imagine when you've taken a beating like some people have, that any little bit will help. So, do we anticipate a bigger tax sell-off in the last 3 weeks of this year as traders are trying to get any sort of tax incentive that they can? What do you think?
Not big, but there will be some. I already heard of some people doing it. If it's in line with their profits and what they made, and if it makes sense, they've done it a little bit. I've heard, like definitely they have, but I don't see it big. I don't think it's a big issue. I think we're pretty much washed out now. I think we can go lower, but
yeah, I mean, speaking of wash, right? Isn't there some wash trading rules around that as well? So there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to that, and I think that we're not tax professionals,
No.
So definitely ask your tax professional. But
Obviously,
I will be looking at my positions as well to see what's optimal. I'm sure a lot of people will be. Who knows what's going to happen? I think a lot last year people were saying the same thing, that there's gonna be a huge sell off at the end of the year, or at the beginning of the next year, so that they didn't have to realize capital gains for the previous year. But I think people hang on to certain things a little bit too much, right? It's not the only factor that's going to actually matter.
I agree with that. I think,
Yeah,
and this is another one of those like be careful what everyone knows situations. I think.
Yeah.
Consensus pump, Chinese New Year. Help me out, guys. What else? Wall Street
ETF
trader bonuses. What else?
ETF.
Yeah, ETF and futures, and
I was talking to a Chinese person about the Chinese New Year pump, and he said they have been selling in past. Last time this year, they did sell off for those holidays.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think people would be a lot less inclined to sell last year because we were still in the midst of a crazy bull run. So they're like, shit, I can't sell right now. It might be worth twice as much tomorrow. So maybe they were less inclined to try for a wash trade of any sort.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the stats, but it's probably a fraction of people that own crypto that are going to actually do that and have a big enough impact, and time it just right. I don't know. I think we got bigger things to worry about than that.
Yeah.
But it does bring up a good point. Is Jason, you probably want to get a CPA or something like that on here, that is familiar with tax laws, at least for the U.S. I'm not sure how it is over there in Oz, James, but yeah, I think that would be helpful for the audience if you got somebody on here that can speak about that.
Yeah, I did actually have my CPA on earlier this year. Actually, give me a second here. I'm going to post the link to this if I can find the video real quick. So I was thinking about getting her back on for, as we come closer to the end of the year. Again, she's a CPA, but she's not your CPA, so obviously this wouldn't necessarily be financial advice if I get her on here. But I was thinking about getting her back on here just to be able to give some feedback and help people understand a little bit. Because I can't believe how many people I talk to that still aren't aware that if you trade crypto for crypto, that's a taxable transaction in the United States in 2018. It was not. It was a like kind before, so it was non-taxable, but it is now. And I've still run into a lot of people saying, like, as long as I don't touch fiat, I don't have anything to worry about. I'm like, it's not the case anymore, especially depending on how much money you made, how much money you traded, because if you cashed any of it out of those exchanges, depending on if they're a KYC exchange, you're getting reported if it's more than 10 grand.
Eventually you're getting reported, and they may go back, but I didn't get a 1099 from Coinbase last year. I paid my taxes, but
No, it's in here somewhere. Sorry, I'm going through page by page trying to find this thing. But yeah, I'll try to get Suzanne back on here and see if we can do a little year-end wrap-up before too long. Yeah, here we go. I found it. So if anybody is interested or actually, in fact, wants to talk to a CPA, all of her contact info is in here. So feel free to reach out to her. She is a sweetheart. Let's see, where's my chat? And there is the video, guys. I just posted it. So if you want to see the crypto CPA interview, feel free to check that out. Guest accountant says, let's go, Vin. What's happening, Ahmet? Thanks for showing up. Anyone have an opinion on Elastos, says JR. I like the Elastos project. I like any project that's trying to do decentralized internet, personally, just because I think we're going to need it.
I liked it. I like it, and I liked it too. But I think it's one of those things where it did have quite a run up to mainnet, and that seems to be the case. And obviously, with the overall crypto market, the pricing is not doing as well as we all hope, right? But I think it's a cool project. It's got I haven't been following it too much lately, but definitely think it's a cool project.
Super high TX rates. In fact, if I can just take this moment to shill, if you guys really want to know what we think about the crypto, or if you really want to know what we think about Elastos, we actually did a report on it in the Cryptosomniac Advantage. So let me just hop over here and I don't have the window up. Hold on a second, and I will show you.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'll just I'll take a look at some of the other questions you got there.
Cool.
Adam, you're saying, what do you guys think about Theta token? I think it's pretty cool. I mean, they got some pretty big news come out lately. They believe they partnered with Sliver.tv, and that's one of the Tencent Games partnerships as well. So that's a pretty huge partnership for them, and they have a very good use case. I do think that with in terms of adoption, Theta is going to be one of those where you'll see a high user count. You'll see more adoption in there. I think gaming, I think streaming and peer-to-peer is kind of the key to adoption of cryptocurrency as well as blockchain. And the thing is I don't necessarily think the people that are going to be on the platform are going to care about cryptocurrency or about decentralization or blockchain. But I do feel that, that is the gateway to adoption, is that, they are going to use the technology to power a lot of those things behind it. And that's going to be the cool thing, is that people are going to be using blockchain without even really knowing it.
I mean, that's kind of the definition of adoption, right? Is when people are just using it because it's a better experience. I mean, that's really what it needs until it is as easy to use as Venmo and PayPal and stuff like that. I think we still have some hurdles to overcome, but it's getting built. I mean, again, there's a number. Every new wallet I see has got newer features that look closer and closer to a similar experience. And then we've got things like Square, Cash App, and like now PayPal's got the ability to deposit. Your Coinbase can go straight into your PayPal, etc. So there is definitely potential.
Yeah, and everybody's trying to stay relevant too, right? And I think that what Tencent and what Theta are doing, targeting over in Asia, South Korea, as well as in China, I think that those areas are kind of ripe for adoption. They're already used to paying for video game assets. They're already used to that. Video games is actually a very big part of. There's a lot of users, a lot of players over there.
Well,
so I think
pretty much invented esports in Asia, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
yeah.
I like South Korean projects. I think that that ecosystem for they're very pro blockchain, and I definitely like the projects from over there.
Yeah, when you were saying 10 cent, I was thinking of 10x, and I immediately was like, I don't think that's good, man. I was reading an article about their CEO getting involved in some previous company he was involved in.
Being
MLMs like Ponzi.
It was a massive ICO, and they were developing a wallet. So never saw the wallet,
right.
or not a wallet, a crypto card, right?
I guess it exists. Yeah, I don't know. It's the whole. Go ahead, Jim.
Speaking of gaming, there's a game that's out now that I'm going to sound old here, that a lot of the kids are playing. It's free. But they've made $1 billion already selling skins and just new guns and stuff. What's that?
It's called Fortnite, James.
I was just say it's probably Fortnite.
Yeah. So that actually is a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up because I think there was a survey recently online that they asked a lot of kids what they wanted for Christmas, and a lot of them said, "Hey, we want V-Bucks or something like that, right?" And so that is the currency that allows you to buy skins, buy attributes, buy certain things. And some of these Fortnite accounts, they're selling private sale for people for thousands of dollars. These accounts that have a bunch of achievements already unlocked, they're going for a tremendous amount of money. So yeah, definitely. We saw it with CryptoKitties. We all kind of laughed how a game could bring down the entire Ethereum network. But that's what's going to happen with adoption, and that was a very, very real and surreal moment for blockchain to see the Ethereum network actually get crippled from the popularity of a CryptoKitties game.
That was so crazy to me. And like when CryptoKitties first came out, I was offended on behalf of serious people everywhere because I was like, this is what we're using this revolutionary technology for, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. We can potentially fix the voting system, and we're making tradable. We reinvented trading cards. Okay, and the reinvented trading cards are able to cripple the entire network. So CryptoKitties has a great use case. It showed us that Ethereum's not scalable yet.
Can you imagine though, like you're going to try to use it for voting, and how many people are going to talk shit about it and say, hey, you got to go through so many loopholes to actually get it implemented. But you can launch a game on the App Store. Think about like the Pokemon game or whatever.
Yeah,
you got these cult phases or not phases, crazes that just everybody has FOMO and want to be included in playing these games, and especially where the barrier to entry is zero. Right?
Yeah.
They just go out and download it. Fortnite, that strategy is just amazing. Obviously, it paid off big time for them.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the first game that was out there selling things.
Oh, League of Legends. I've played tons of video games in my life. Even up until the Xbox 360, and I've certainly paid out of pocket for in-game items because I used to play Mass Effect 3, and I will admit that I definitely paid for a loot crate or two because I got sick of playing the same maps over and over. So
I used to play Super Mario Brothers on the NES.
Yeah, GoldenEye 007 says Adam. That was the greatest shooter game of all time. I think that was like the OG shooter game, in fact.
Yeah, I think
that was good because they were multiplayer. You could play with all your friends without being online.
Yep.
I was just looking at someone was telling me a story about that Fortnite actually in a group, and I think it was their nephew wanted PlayStation credits for I think it was a birthday, so they all chipped in, got him $100 voucher. Straight away, he's gone into the game Fortnite and bought $100 worth of skins and useless things, and he's come back out and said, the $100 is gone. I bought this, and this, and they're like, what? not never giving you money or anything like that again.
Yeah,
that was a 10-year-old, so dumping $100 on some skins in Fortnite.
Think about how much money people burn on games like Candy Crush and Farmville and all that. People will just
true,
and that is the most. Sorry to anybody who plays that, who's watching. That is the most mindless entertainment you could possibly have. Is literally you're just going tap 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 tap. I should give this thing some more money because I feel like tapping the screen some more. Yeah, Nick Falzarano says my son spent $200 on skins. Yeah, it's a great model. I mean, it's the video games. Think about it, right? It was the original. They've found a way to reinvent the arcade. Because, first of all, you had to go to the arcade. I'll date myself now. I'm old. I went to video arcades when I was a kid. And, you just pump quarters into it until you ran out of money. Then they figured out a way to get video game systems into the home, and it took them, 30 years to figure out how to reinvent the video arcade by selling skins and upgrade guns or different maps or whatever packs. So,
and wasn't EA Sports rated the most hated company in America?
Probably,
or at least gaming company
in America.
EA
that's a
who
heavy
made Mass Effect as well. So I was not at all surprised that they decided to monetize it in that way. Adam Woolman says, I literally know kids that quit school to play World of Warcraft. Funny story, when I first discovered Bitcoin, when I first learned about what Bitcoin was, it was because I heard about people using it to buy World of Warcraft items. And I was like, what idiot would pay for in-game currency when they don't even play the game? Hilarious. Like, it's so, I laugh at this so much in retrospect, because I'm like, that was totally my perspective back in 2009, 2010. I was like, I've never played World of Warcraft. I'm never going to play World of Warcraft. Why would I ever buy the in-game currency for World of Warcraft? Because that's literally what I thought Bitcoin was when I first heard about it, because that's what I'd heard about it being used for. And again, I was spending my dollars on Mass Effect plugins, so who knows?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So let's see. Yeah. So Let's Go Vin says, I pumped so many quarters into the Mortal Kombat arcade. Yeah, so I figured there's probably enough of us at about the right about a commensurate age that we spent way too much allowance at the video arcade as kids. So let's see here. They got a comment. I saw something about, if Satoshi Nakamoto owns 980,000 Bitcoin, couldn't he cause market swings at any point in time? The crypto space goes as Bitcoin goes. Theoretically, yes, but again, unless Satoshi Nakamoto is trying to burn their creation to the ground, why would they do such a thing? And
you know what? Let's give Craig a call.
Yeah, ask Craig Wright. He'll tell you, because he's Satoshi, right? Yeah.
What was that? Double?
FCJ
someone
just coming with the good knowledge, saying even if Satoshi decided to jump his BTC, the combined order book's only 50K Bitcoin deep. So yeah, I mean, it could move. I mean, it certainly could move the market, obviously, but again, I don't think that's happening, because I don't think Satoshi Nakamoto wants to burn his creation to the ground. I think Craig Wright wants to burn Satoshi Nakamoto's creation to the ground, but I don't think Satoshi wants to burn their.
There'll be a lot of spoofing on that order book as well. People just don't want it to go lower. I can imagine miners just putting 50K on the buy side as a spoof.
Did you guys see that thing about, they were saying like the most recent, I was reading an article, I talked about it on Friday, that the most recent culprits to blame for the Bitcoin bear market are actually bearish Chinese miners, because they're all shorting it to stay profitable. And then there was a quote from one miner in there that was just like, yeah, it sucks, we don't want to do this, but if we all keep shorting so that we can stay profitable, then we'll all die together. I'm not sure that I agree with the logic there. But what do you guys think about that? I mean,
I definitely think miners. I definitely think they hedge with futures. There's no doubt in my mind that they do that. But whether or not they're all shorting is, whether it's all planned, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, they're like, okay. I'm trying to remember exactly the information, but it was something to the effect of like, it's going to cost me $3,200 or something to mine the Bitcoin, and I think the price is going to go down below that, so I'll short it today, and then I actually turn a profit by the time I mine the coins, or something to that effect. And just saying like that those guys, like these particular miners in that position are kind of all in the same boat, and so they're shorting it to continue to be able to stay operational.
Yeah, there's some chat about OTC. So I did an interview with Australia's biggest OTC desk recently, so I'm going to post it on the channel, and that's interesting, and especially the oldest client they have is very interesting. So you'll have to wait and see how old they really are.
Well, give us a teaser. Is it not about the age, but is there activity on OTC right now, James?
Yeah, there's always activity because there's always capital management. So people selling what they raise. There's also unreleased assets like Rootstock, Arago, Algorand. All of these are still trading OTC. But you're definitely selling off ETH that they've raised, or there's constantly OTC action.
So I know that's another big rumor, is that there's a bunch of OTC buyers sitting on the sidelines. Do do we anticipate that they flood the market at a certain point, or are they, are they waiting for 3,000, 1,200? Are they waiting for a certain point to go all in? Or do you think that they will start to like scale in so as not to create a massive run up like what we saw in 2017?
That's when you talk about these institutions or whales and whatever, it's not like they're all in cahoots. They're actually competing against each other. Right. So they're all going to kind of be doing it behind each other's back and scaling in, or, there's not a consensus between them. That's for sure. Yeah,
obviously that's actually kind of what you want in the space, is to have those big institutions be a little bit diametrically opposed. Because if they all want the same thing, then they all collude, and we're the ones that get wrecked on that one as the retail people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, someone's got to lose for the others to win.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines, and there's probably people sitting on the sidelines waiting for something safer to move their money into, right? So I think, with these new custody solutions and new platforms that are coming out next year sometime, I think that we'll probably have more activity within the crypto space. I don't know what the price is going to do with that, obviously, but I think that probably people will feel safer to have those platforms and have a bit more protection of they're going to put some big money in there.
Yeah, well, exactly. Why wouldn't you pay less margin to get exposure to Bitcoin without even holding Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's while I agree with it from a logical standpoint, from an idealism standpoint, I hate that is even an option, because again, we're just going to continue to recreate the existing financial markets, and then the chance that we had to change the system or divert is just gone, right? And that's half of, I don't know, again, maybe I'm totally idealistic and I need to get over it and just realize that the world is the way it is, and it's not going to change my lifetime. But call me naive, but I did that's what got me into Bitcoin in the first place, was this is looking like an alternative to the existing system. So it rubs me the wrong way that we just keep moving further and further into recreating the existing system, only in an indelible manner, where if it's implemented incorrectly, it actually should be really scary to people, because think about what a police state could do with a blockchain.
Yeah, and the main architect of the credit default swaps that kind of led to the CDOs and synthetic CDOs is in crypto, in blockchain now. So I wonder what Satoshi thinks about that.
Exactly. I wonder that all the time, if Satoshi is. I mean, that there's another group that I'm in that there was a big rumor that came out that like Satoshi was disappointed with the way that this has gone and is going to burn it to the ground, and is moving a bunch of coins out of their wallet and onto exchanges and stuff. So far, maybe the rumors have not been substantiated, but definitely something that's an interesting rumor to think about. And if well, I guess let's just purely speculate at this point. Do you think that at any point Satoshi Nakamoto would burn the thing to the ground if they were like, look, this is not, you guys completely missed the point of what I was doing. You've just rebuilt what already exists, and I can crash this market by selling all of my Bitcoin, so I'm doing it. You think that's ever a real possibility?
It could have been strategically done like that. That's why he kept 1 million. But no, I don't think he can actually burn it to the ground now.
If he did, then people would want to burn him to the ground. So I don't think so.
I said, well, Craig Wright's going to be really sad. He said he was Satoshi if that does happen, I guess. Huh?
Well, people have been talking about digital currencies for a long time, way before Satoshi. So
sure.
It's all playing out.
Solved the double
There's
spend.
no reason to burn it down.
No, Satoshi just solved the double spend problem. It's really.
I'm hearing the effect on Brexit with crypto a bit lately. So is that vote officially being postponed now? It was going to be today.
I'm not as savvy on British politics as I might ought to be. I thought they had already exited and that was a done deal. So
the deadline's the 29th of March next year, I think.
Yeah.
But there was meant to be a vote today, and I think the PM was postponing it.
Yeah. Basically, it says, I'm just reading headlines. It says, facing defeat, Theresa May seeks delay on Brexit vote in Parliament. But, I mean, that's a bit sensational. I don't know. I don't know what it actually... Let's say.
Yeah, I heard it was postponed, so...
Yeah. think they push for postponement.
So why do we think that is playing a hand into the crypto market price?
Well, people were interested to see if there'd be a correlation.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see why. I mean, is there some? Am I missing
Well,
something with?
Well, you're stepping away
euros
from the
or-
euro, right? So I mean, it's gonna.
Well, I mean, if I'm certain that a significant portion of the euro's value is derived from the British economy, right? I mean, the British pound has been one of the strongest currencies as long as I've been paying attention to money. So I can imagine that wouldn't be good for the value of the euro. But does that tank the market price, or does that pump the price? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, does it? How I would have to look at how much volume is being done against the euro versus all other currencies, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just the theory is if economies crash and fiat value goes down, then crypto goes up. There's I eventually we'll see a decent correlation, hopefully an inverse correlation, but we're way too early.
It's that. I mean, seeing an inverse correlation from the stock market would lead me to believe that maybe enough people woke up and did understand why Bitcoin is valuable in the first place. Like, oh, they're going to continue to manipulate this market. Let's move over here to where sound money is. There's a limited amount of Bitcoin ever, and I don't know. I mean, we'll see. By the time that they're comfortable enough to move in, they may have already completely recreated the existing financial system, and maybe there won't be an advantage other than the indelible ledger. I don't know. Let's see. FCG says, I can see a Satoshi move 1 Bitcoin if there is... Whoops, somebody else was just talking. I see Satoshi move 1 Bitcoin if there's a hard Brexit. I'd be interested to know if any Bitcoin has left Satoshi's wallet. Amit says, lots of fake volume in crypto as we go to CoinMarketCap. Golem showing 100 million volume. Neo showing the same. How can we filter stuff like this in the future? Good question. A lot of people I've seen talking about that lately is how do we get accurate readings out of CoinMarketCap? A lot of people are starting to feel that CoinMarketCap is not being honest with their valuations of prices. Particularly, a lot of people have come up to me and been like, well, what do you think about saying that Ripple is undervalued on CoinMarketCap? I personally think it'd be the other way around because those tokens already exist, and whether they are in public or not, that technically, in my opinion, would count as circulating supply. So if anything, I would say it's probably overvalued because those tokens exist and can be released into the market at any time. All it takes is a couple lines of code. So I disagree with that, but that's something I've seen a lot of people asking about lately. Is is CoinMarketCap providing accurate data, and what would be the alternative? How could they weed out the bad information? And that's a good question. I don't really know what to say on that one. I mean,
I think James has something to say on that, huh, James?
Well, it seems that they just put what they seek the information, they put up what they find, and they don't kind of correlate it with the actual project. And then I see projects continuously writing to them saying, no, we've released this and we've got this and this is how it should be. And I also saw projects referring to CoinGecko as the accurate reading of what it really was.
Yeah.
But it's all different. And
the volume's kind of interesting too, right? The volume that the exchanges are reporting, it's
well, and because how much of that is real, how much of it is wash volume? I mean, this is something I think of most people when they get involved in the space don't even realize is something that happens. Is that exchanges are falsely inflating their volume by buying and selling internally. So I'm wondering how many people are even aware that happens, let alone are not only aware that it happens, but prepared to deal with it when it does.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to kind of filter that out. I'm be interested if there was some kind of automated mechanism to kind of track all of that. I'm sure someone's come up with something, some kind of script, but
or even if
you can filter it out if you take enough time to do it. What's that?
I was just going to say, even if CoinMarketCap had like a drop down that said, include Korean exchanges or exclude these, because I know that's been a big part of it. Is they're saying, a lot of these Asian exchanges aren't being counted, and CoinMarketCap's argument for that is we're not counting them because we think that their volume is fake. But who's to say, right? I mean, how do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was that price premium on BitHum and some of these other exchanges, so they did put like asterisks and they didn't count them. I mean, the price was real. The price definitely was not fake. Whether or not the volume was real or fake is different. I mean, there definitely was a premium last year.
Yeah, the good old arbitrage.
Yeah. Well, if you could, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
There was a company in traditional markets, HFT, but they profited, was it 700 and something million last year? Crazy. All they're doing is just arbitraging back and forth.
Which falsely props up volume.
Yeah.
I mean, you're creating fake trades. I mean, you're creating fake trading volume. It's really what's happening.
Yeah, and they're profiting like 0.00001 10,000 times a second kind of thing.
But that's I would take, I'll take a fraction of a penny 10,000 times a second. You can go ahead and deposit that into I'll put my wallet address up shortly. But no problem.
Crypto's not quite there yet, but.
So FZJ says, no, euro and pound not correlated. Fair enough. UK is getting kicked out of all EU trade deals. I mean, that would be pretty obvious. Adam says, uprising in France is about taking back control from the central banks. I thought that was the whole point. I thought that was the whole point of cryptocurrency in the first place myself. Maybe I'm tripping, but I was pretty sure that's what we were all doing here. But, maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Europe wants UK to stay. They like our money, says Sun King 25. Yes. When will people say F the banks and move to crypto and move back to a barter system? I don't think that's ever happening, and here's why. I mean, ultimately, I think crypto is like the best case, or if not crypto, then just digital currency, whatever you want to call it. But I think that's really the best possible case for it. And I like cryptocurrency specifically because I retain control of the private keys. So I can go across any border and not have to carry it. You can take my gold, or you can take my dollars away from me, or my fiat, or my yen, or my whatever. You could take that away from me at the border physically. And then, of course, the government could always seize your property from your house, and et cetera, and freeze your accounts in the bank. So I do like digital currency. Just overall, like I don't think everybody's going to move to it as an alternative, because not as many people are going to have the same idealistic standpoint on it that I do. I think a lot of people are perfectly happy to be able to call the bank and overdraft a check here and there and pay through the nose for it, and have the bank nickel and dime them, for the privilege of making money with that consumer's money.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many cryptocurrencies that are out there, right? So, everything, right now can be traded back to BTC, but it's kind of tough to say that we're going to replace central banks and go back to barter system, and not have fiat currency. I think that it'll definitely play a part. I think we'll always have some sort of fiat currency as long as we have governments and as long as we have countries that we live in, right? But I think that maybe amongst peers and amongst ourselves, it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean that's what I thought the whole point of Bitcoin was, to be able to say, okay, listen, you don't have a bank account, I don't have a bank account, that's okay. I've got a wallet, you've got a wallet, we can still transact, and in a safe, trustless manner. I don't know, that's appealing to me, but then again, I'm a fan of personal responsibility, so I think that is something that I've failed to factor in when I'm thinking about the way that most people think about money or finance or freedom.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if everybody said, hey, we're all going to agree on a standard and everyone's got to use Bitcoin. Well, it's going to suck for the people that don't have any Bitcoin, that have to buy it, and the value of Bitcoin just skyrockets after that, right? Sure, yeah. So think about the people that are being forced to use the petro right now.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I was reading something that says
Venezuela's
not even
that's what you got to use, right, as a country, and you don't have a choice. Anything else, the petros replaced all that stuff, and now you're at 200,000% inflation. Not an ideal situation. It's obviously still centrally run, but it's not trying to compare Bitcoin, but you can see kind of what happens.
It makes me think of the old Edo period, Japan, and bartering with rice, and then they had the rice futures. I think that started it all off.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that how
It's
technical
pretty much how it
analysis all
started.
started? Was because of that?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's kind of cool. All right, let's see. Exchanges like HitBTC show they're trading 200 million worth of Bitcoin and Coinbean over 200 million. All this must be fake. I would agree with that, Ahmed. I think that's fake volume on the exchange. Let's see. So FZJ says CoinMarketCap has reported and adjusted. So apparently there is an option. Cool. I barely look at CoinMarketCap anymore, just since Cryptosomniac website had the same top 100 installed. I barely ever go to CoinMarketCap anymore. All right, let's see. Still waiting to donate Litecoin. One of these days, Ryan, I'll put my Litecoin address up here. Sure.
So I thought you only accept Monero.
Yeah, I would love to. You can all send me all the Monero you want. But the difficult part about that is then I'd have to post my Monero address somewhere, thus killing my anonymity. All right, so let's see. Satoshi's message in the Genesis block. Yes, I know. I love this. The Times, 03 January 2009. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. That is a very good point, FZJ. That Satoshi could move a coin out of the Genesis block to make the point that they were going to burn it all down. That or whatever, or take some sort of action. Yeah, that's a. Well, then I guess that's what we ought to be watching out for is what's going on with the Genesis block. CMA is run by some guy living in Queens, New York. Says, "Let's go, Vin." That's the point, man. They're finally doing it. I think Adam is referring to exiting the banks. You cannot debase Bitcoin. That's why crypto will win. Fiat can be debased into oblivion. FCJ, 100% correct. That is why I am a fan of Bitcoin and just cryptocurrency, or at least non-inflationary cryptocurrencies in general. Non-confiscatable. Somebody apparently agrees with the with my feeling of memorizing your private keys and no one can ever take your money away. Unless they bash you in the knee with a wrench until you give it up, I guess. Think about a centrally controlled global digital currency. We would all be living in China, says Adam. Yes, that's exactly my point. A centralized blockchain, a centralized currency, a centralized cryptocurrency should be terrifying to everybody. That's FedCoin. That means every single purchase that you ever make will always be available to see by somebody. There goes your privacy. And people are always like, oh, well, if you have nothing to hide, I don't want you to know about the time I had to go to the clinic to do whatever. I don't want you, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just certain purchases that people aren't going to want everybody to be able to see. And otherwise, a privatized blockchain is kind of the same. You still have to trust somebody to keep that information safe, right? So that's where I say, how is that any different than a centralized database? We still have to trust that person to spend enough money on security protocols, et cetera, to keep the information that they are collecting safe. It's a centralized point of attack. We run into the same problem that we run into with Experian, right? Or was it Equifax? I can never remember. Whichever one of those credit reporting agencies got hacked. How many people got hurt? And first of all, let's show of hands. Which of you guys gave them permission to collect your information? None. Right. And which of you guys gave them permission to make money off that information? None. Right. But they did it anyway. Centralized blockchains should be scary to people. Should be.
Yeah, well, I was interested to see what Marshall Islands were going to do. I was hoping that would get past that bill and they'd have their own crypto and it'd be a test subject for a centralized national currency. Definitely a good use case and sure. Starting point.
I mean, using as long as it's used as a currency. I guess my main concern is just the centralized point of it. I guess if it were a fully decentralized currency and they didn't have the ability to continue to just print and make more, but otherwise, I just fail to see the advantage to it over the current system if they can continue to print as many as they want and manipulate the value of it as can be done with fiat currency.
there's so many reasons why they would want to do it. Firstly, it costs a fortune to have these printing presses and print money all the time and manage all these reserves. And people can't avoid tax because each coin of that country would be tied to the person. So everything would be fully trackable. It will stop money laundering, black market. There's so many implementations that it can like that it can prevent. So there's so many reasons for a government to want a national cryptocurrency.
So, but
you can't avoid tax. You can have blockade. So if this was deemed for illegal purchase or financing terrorism, it would just be blocked automatically, and that transaction will be tied to certain people.
Sure. But here's what I have to say about that is how effective have governments been in making us, I mean, like, do you feel like your government is the most efficient organization that you've ever seen? Because I don't know about the Australian government, but I would not be able to say that about the American government.
I think Dubai has, they're introducing their own cryptocurrency too, right? It's like M-Coin or something like that. Dubai?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that.
I can't remember the name. It's Mcash, something like that. Yeah, it's Mcash, I think. Let me look it up real quick. But yeah, I know that they were introducing their own cryptocurrency. I haven't followed up on it, but I heard something a couple months ago that they originally talked about it last year. But I think that they actually introduced it or are introducing it relatively soon here. I don't think it's necessarily meant to replace their currency, but it's
like
to complement. Yeah. Anyways, Jason, want to grab any questions in there?
Sorry, I was trying to catch up here. So let's see. It looks like a lot of people just agreeing with me that the nothing to hide people are idiots because that's ridiculous. Let's see. J. Arp says our privacy, in air quotes, is long gone. I disagree. Not entirely, but it's certainly taken a severe beating in the last 5 years. Let's see. Sovereign coins will fail, says FZJ. People don't want government-controlled crypto. I would agree with that. I mean, I think a lot of people get involved in the crypto space because it's an alternative to government currencies. I could be wrong. Again, this is a tendency humans have, is to assume that other people think the same way they do, and so I'm just as subject to that fallacy as anyone else, I guess.
Yeah, you look at the people of Venezuela and Zimbabwe. If they had a crypto in place that stopped the hyperinflation with a finite supply, all those people, millions of people would have been better off. So there's arguments either way. It's hard to say that you'd want a government-controlled crypto because you know what governments are like generally. But there are reasons for it. The same for having private mail and freedom of speech. There's dictatorships where if you're a reporter and you say the wrong thing, you can be killed. So
sure. I guess that's my concern. Is I am far more skeptical of humans than not, and I think I think the potential to abuse power in a centralized blockchain, in a centralized cryptocurrency, I think the potential to abuse power is going to be far too tempting for many, and that you can't give that kind of power willingly to the kind of people who would be inclined to use it, to weaponize it, basically. And I feel like the kind of people that would weaponize that information are the kind of people that want to be in control, right? Those are the kind of people that go into government. Yeah, Adam Wellman, you and I, dude, this guy, apparently, we started off on a opposed stance, and I can see he and I think a lot more alike than maybe I thought at the beginning of this stream.
You guys can wear your tin hats together.
Yeah, seriously. Hey, I always say I'm well aware that I sound like a tinfoil hat person, but ultimately what it comes down to, guys, is people were, if you would have asked, if Edward Snowden would have happened 10 years sooner, people would have been like, nah, that dude's full of shit, put on your tinfoil hat. There's plenty of people saying that the deep state and the government has been collecting your data to weaponize against you for a long time. People are just way happier to be ostriches and be like, no, my government wouldn't do that. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I just say follow the money. It's again, guys. I don't. I hate to sound like such a pessimist, but I'm a skeptical realist.
Everyone is awoken.
Adam says I sound awake. Well, I'll appreciate the compliment. And also, thanks for not saying woke, because I hate that term. It's such improper English, and it drives me crazy. V for Vendetta comes to real life, says let's go Vin. Yeah, here we go. This is a great a Rothschild's quote, FCJ. Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws. Mayor Amschel Rothschild. Poignant. Well, all right, let's see. Well, guys, I mean, I'm good for a rant, if nothing else. I got opinions. All right, so let's see.
Jason, I do got to jump off here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I guess we're getting pretty close to, we're pushing up on the, oh, geez, we're over the hour mark. Yeah, okay, well, I guess we can actually just go ahead and wrap this up. We pretty much covered all the topics.
We can just grab a couple more questions and then wrap it up.
Yeah, anybody else have any specific questions you want us to cover or information that we can help field for you? Anybody? Going once? Going twice? And that's it for that's it for Trader Talk tonight, guys. Oh no, Adam, I didn't say we started off salty. I just said we started off on opposed viewpoints. That's all.
Jason, I think you pumped the price of Tron.
Sick. Yeah, I'm the pump master.
I'm getting alerts for Tron.
Woohoo! Somebody tell Justin Sun to give me a job. Let's. Oh, hilarious.
I wonder what's going to pump for Christmas.
Yeah, seriously.
Christmas coin. Elf coin.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, no. I actually like elf. I didn't want to say elf coin. The wrong one.
XR penis. All right, so let's see. Thoughts on people calling 300K Bitcoin and 400K?
Yeah, they're both right.
Yeah. Yes.
And
also
right.
zero. Yeah, all of the above. Listen, it's just as likely to go to 400K as it is to go to zero. Anybody who's making predictions like this is doing some fuzzy math and smoking hopium, right? I mean, you just, it's unrealistic to make predictions like that this far out when we haven't even seen anything close to adoption at this point. Could it be? Absolutely. There's only 21 million Bitcoin ever. If the whole world buys into Bitcoin, for sure we could see it that high. Do I think that's happening anytime soon? I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, you have to be.
I actually thought you said 3K or 4K. So
yeah, 3K, 4K for sure. We'll bounce
I was
back.
like, we already saw it.
We're right there. Yeah, 300K, 400K. So Cyber Kenobi, what's happening? Said I'm in a good mood today. My head finally grew. Everybody says I have a small head because I don't always sit in the Zoom meeting. Guys, trust me, my ego is I have a big head. It's good. All right. True, you can't predict it. Time and again, this has been proven. Yeah, exactly, guys. Anybody telling you that, anybody making 10-year, 50-year predictions is selling you hype. That's just hype, right? Of course, Mike Novogratz thinks it's going to 400K. His entire fortune is invested in Bitcoin. It better, or he lost his ass and made one of the worst financial decisions he's ever made in his life, right?
He already bought a plane with Ethereum, so forget about your Lambos, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Learjet.
That's right.
Cliff High, dude. Cliff High. Boy, you want to talk about tinfoil hat? That dude is he's got the tinfoil crown. But I do enjoy watching him.
I enjoy listening to him.
Yeah,
I think his name explains everything.
Yeah,
I do enjoy listening to him for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, I just like I like listening to him and his web crawler bots, and I don't know, he's definitely out there on his tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, but obviously I enjoy a good conspiracy theory. So
yeah, everyone's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. People can like things. All right, guys. Well, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Looks like Cyber Kenobi. We'll see how your XRP does. I'm not holding my breath that Coinbase listing's doing anything for it, but we'll see. And,
well, it's not confirmed listed yet. I mean, I think once it gets listed, that thing's going.
Well, that's probably true. Yeah, if once the official announcement happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's XRP logo on the same page as 30 other logos, so it's not. Yeah,
true.
I think
that's true.
No confirmations yet.
Yeah, at least, I mean, this is the first time that Coinbase has actually actively speculated that they might add it themselves. So I'd say that the chances are pretty strong that it's.
Oh, that's right. We didn't talk about this. Coinbase and their 12 days of announcements.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. That's the 12 days of
Justin Sun's book, right?
Yeah,
but hey, you know what? That's fine. Coinbase, I got to give it to you guys. You know, I hope you guys can save crypto. So save crypto for Christmas. Do it. 12 days. Excited to see what comes out.
Yeah, let's get the 12 days of pumpness. Let's get that 2017 sentiment right back in action here.
Yeah, please list Tron.
Yes, please list Tron. please list Tron so I look like a genius. Yeah, we'll see. Honestly, I just hope they list Stellar. I've been saying they're going to list Stellar for so long. I hope that I'm proven accurate on that, even if the price is already baked in. I don't even care.
Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah, I think so too. JR says Coinbase went from stingy to YOLO in a hurry.
Much.
Yeah, it was what, 6 tokens from 6 tokens maybe to added to 31 probably getting added.
Yeah, they got to save their IPO.
Yeah, that's right. All right, guys. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on and making time for Trader Talk tonight. As always, I got a message from Snay about 30 minutes in that I had texted him, "Are you coming?" And it was just, can't make it. So anyways, I appreciate you guys coming on and chatting with me, and always appreciated and always good to get feedback and, you know, not just hear myself yelling into an echo chamber. So I appreciate all you guys. And for everybody who is watching, if you appreciate opinions like James and we here, and you would like to be able to interact with them more often, come on over and join us in the Moon Lounge. Come on over and join us in the Moon Lounge. These guys are part of our team here at Cryptosomniac, and thus would be part of the fantastic group we have in the Moon Lounge. And if you aren't familiar with what the Moon Lounge is, head on over to cryptosomniac.com, and you can click the little rocket button there, and it'll take you in to sign up for the or you can get into the Advantage for free for 14 days. You get access to all of our reports. So again, you want to know what we were thinking about Elastos, Hedera Hashgraph, Publica, a number of other different projects, GoChain. We've got those all in there. And then more importantly, what we've got that is, I think, the main advantage to the Advantage is actually the Cryptosomniac Advantage, our private Discord server. So for those of you who are already Discord members, if you want to jump in and check it out, up at the top there, you can see the banner playing at the top. Just type that cryptosomniac.com Discord 1 into your browser, and you can join for free. Check it out. See if you feel like this community is a good one for you. We are pretty active, as you can see here. This community is cracking. I mean, this is 24 hours of communication right here, guys. So definitely very active community, super active traders, everybody helping sharpen each other up. We'd love to have you be part of it. So you can try and join for free if you want right now, 14 days. Come on over, and we'll see you in the Moon Lounge. All right.
All right, guys.
That's about it. And if for anybody who's still here, smash that thumbs up for me, guys, and hit the bell so that you do know when we go live. I'm going to be doing a morning show tomorrow, and would be great to hang out with you all again. So please do hit the notification so you know when we go live, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Until then, guys, thanks again, and we are the Cryptosomniac team. Keep your stop losses tight. We're out of here.
See you later.
Yep.